For decades, the world believed the American middle class was the beating heart of prosperity. Families owned homes, cars in the garage, and the certainty of a better future for their children. But today, this heartbeat is weak, and almost no one notices. Beneath the glitter of shop windows and the constant din of the metropolis, a dark transformation is underway. America is creating its own new poor. And the frightening thing is that many of them still believe they are in control. In some once prosperous neighborhoods, parents work double shifts to pay endless bills. Teachers turn to food banks, nurses sell their cars to pay off debts, and retirees return to work in supermarkets. It's modern poverty, silent, well-dressed, and carefully hidden behind tired smiles. Television still talks about growth, but the reality is different. Frozen wages, skyrocketing rents, and a cost of living that erodes even those who seemed secure. The American collapse didn't arrive suddenly. It has been creeping in one habit at a time until comfort has become survival. But what is really pushing the American middle class into this new, invisible poverty? In this video, you will discover the 5 silent habits that are destroying families from within. And worst of all, without them realizing it until it's too late. If you want to understand how these silent habits are transforming the heart of America and what this reveals about the future of all of us, subscribe now to the channel and leave a like. What follows will open your eyes to the crisis no one has the courage to admit. The crisis is no longer a distant rumor, it's a constant presence in the small details of American daily life. What was once a symbol of stability, quiet neighborhoods, full supermarkets, and smiling families, now reveals invisible cracks. Cities that grew under the glow of consumerism now exhibit an uneasy silence, an emptiness that comes not from a lack of people, but from an absence of hope. The facades remain colorful, but behind them lie accumulated bills, unpayable rents, and debts that stretch across generations. In many regions, lines at food banks stretch like scars from a country that refuses to admit anything is wrong. Men and women who once donated now wait their turn to receive. Teachers, nurses, truck drivers, all are slowly sinking into a routine of survival disguised as normality. The shelves are still full, but pockets are empty. Consumption continues, not out of abundance, but out of desperation. It's the economy spinning its wheels, driven by credit, dependence, and denial. The system, however, remains unshakable. Stock markets soar, while the middle class disappears. The government announces growth rates that don't reach families' tables. The media continues to sell the image of a prosperous nation, even as the American dream becomes a burden. And while the lights of big cities remain on, millions live in the shadows, trying to understand where it all started to go wrong. But is the collapse really just a result of the economy? Or is there something invisible, deeper, manipulating every step of this silent decline? Comment below with your opinion. Behind the statistics, headlines, and optimistic speeches lies a silent machine operating with surgical precision. The new American poverty is not a coincidence, but the result of a meticulous construction that began decades ago when credit was presented as freedom and consumption became synonymous with happiness. The financial system discovered it could profit more from debt than from work, and since then, it has molded an entire generation to confuse purchasing power with real power. Corporations have learned to transform desire into dependence. They sold the idea that to have is to be, that human worth can be measured by the brightness of a screen or the number of payments on a car. And while millions struggled to maintain this illusory standard, banks, tech companies, and large investment funds fed on collective exhaustion. Every click on Buy Now is a reminder that freedom has been hijacked and sold in small doses of digital dopamine. Politics, in turn, has become complicit in this cycle. Governments that once promised prosperity have come to depend on uncontrolled consumption to keep the economy afloat. And when the system falters, it is the same indebted workers who foot the bill. The cycle is perverse. Fear of collapse breeds more debt, and debt keeps the collapse going. This invisible mechanism requires no violence because it operates through desire. It doesn't destroy abruptly, it merely corrodes slowly until the individual believes they have chosen their own prison. Modern poverty, therefore, arises not from lack, but from excess, an excess of promises, incentives, and lies. And it is at this point that the collapse ceases to be an economic theory and becomes something personal. Because what really destroys the American middle class isn't just the systems, it's the habits that the system itself has taught us to love. The collapse of the American middle class is not just an economic portrait, it's a psychological mirror of a society that has learned to live on the edge. The signs are in every daily choice, in shopping carts full of unnecessary products, in homes decorated with what one can't afford, and in the constant feeling that it's never enough. The first habit fueling this new poverty is live above your income. The promise of easy credit created an illusion of stability, and millions began to measure success by the size of their debt. They work not to build but to maintain the bare minimum of appearances. The second habit is confusing status with security. The quest for social recognition has transformed consumption into a religion, and each new material good serves only to temporarily fill the void left by uncertainty. Families no longer buy what they need. They buy what makes them appear successful, even if it costs them their future. The third, even more dangerous habit is using consumption as emotional anesthesia. After an exhausting day, the reward isn't rest, it's purchase. Clicking has become the new relief, and instant gratification has replaced long-term security. Thus, money isn't just spent on products, but on the need to feel something the system has taken away: control. The fourth habit is neglect financial education, blindly handing over their own fate to banks and apps that claim to simplify life but profit from misinformation. It's economic illiteracy disguised as convenience. And the fifth, the most destructive of all, is deny the problem, pretending everything is fine while the abyss grows beneath our feet. This collective denial is what keeps the collapse alive and invisible. Each of these habits in isolation seems harmless, but together they form the silent engine of the new poverty. An engine that doesn't need to stop running, it just needs no one to notice it's driving them. And while most continue running aimlessly, there are those who have already fallen and embody in flesh and blood the result of this mechanism. But who are these people who lived the American dream and today survive in its ruins? Comment below with your opinion. Amid the statistics and analyses, there are stories that shed light on the silent tragedy of the American middle class. Linda, a teacher for over 2 decades in an Ohio public school, believed she had built a stable life. Her routine was simple, made up of predictable commitments and small achievements. But little by little, the system she helped sustain began to crumble beneath her feet. Rising rent, the cost of medications, and stagnant wages turned comfort into anguish. When her health failed and her insurance didn't cover her treatments, Linda was forced to take out loans she could never repay. Her home became a memory, her car was returned, and what remained was a trailer parked on the outskirts of a town she no longer recognized. At night, as the wind rattles the thin aluminum walls, she remembers the days when she believed that hard work was enough to win. Today, victory is making it to the end of the month with light and food. Linda isn't an isolated case. She's a portrait of an invisible America, made up of millions of people who did everything right, but were swallowed up by a system that only works as long as someone loses. Each story, like hers, is a reminder that collapse doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in slowly. One bill at a time, one dream at a time. And while stories like this are repeated throughout the country, a new question arises, cold and inevitable. What do the numbers say when human suffering no longer fits into statistics? Behind the human stories, the numbers speak with a coldness that cuts deeper than any speech. Today, more than 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, with no reserves for the unexpected. Nearly 40 million rely on food banks for food, a number that surpasses that recorded during the Great Depression. Each year, average household debt grows, and the time it takes to buy a home doubles compared to the previous generation. Meanwhile, profits for major banks and corporations are reaching historic highs. The contrast is stark. While some are accumulating wealth at unprecedented speed, millions are struggling just to afford the basics. Student loans have already become the second largest form of debt in the country, surpassing even car loans. Young adults begin their lives with decades of payments ahead of them, with no real prospect of financial freedom. Statistics reveal a nation where hard work no longer guarantees dignity. The cost of healthcare, insurance, and rent is rising faster than any wage increase. Each new figure reveals not only an economy in disarray, but a society on the brink of exhaustion. And as the spreadsheets display their merciless numbers, one question echoes: what happens when even official data fails to hide what people have been feeling for a long time? What once seemed like a simple economic imbalance now takes the form of a warning, an omen that permeates statistics and resonates in the silent streets of American cities. The collapse will not come with the roar of bombs, but with the muffled sound of doors being locked for lack of payment. It won't be televised because it's already happening behind the scenes of normality, while everyone pretends nothing has changed. In small towns, schools are closing, hospitals are reducing their hours, and entire neighborhoods are becoming deserts of opportunity. The middle class, an engine of stability and growth, is disappearing before the eyes of a generation that believed in meritocracy as salvation. Without it, the country loses its backbone, the balance that sustained the American dream. And as with every decaying empire, the fall begins not at the borders, but within homes. Fear becomes the new invisible tax, eroding faith in institutions, jobs, and even the idea of the future. Consumption, once a symbol of freedom, reveals itself to be a new form of servitude. The illusion of security gives way to the certainty of fragility. History has shown no empire survives when its people cease to believe in tomorrow. And America, which built its glory on promises of abundance, now faces an enemy that cannot be defeated with weapons, only with conscience. Because if the present already feels like a silent collapse, the future could be something even darker. But is there a way back? Or has America already passed the point of no return? The American collapse didn't begin with numbers, but with choices. Small, repeated choices, normalized until they became part of the culture. Unbridled consumption was sold as freedom, credit as progress, and silence as stability. Decades later, the result is an exhausted, indebted, and emotionally broken society that still believes it's living the same dream that's already ended. The real crisis lies not just in bank accounts, but in the collective mind. America believed it could sustain a model based on excess indefinitely, and now it pays the price for that denial. Modern poverty is not a lack of money, but an absence of meaning, the loss of the purpose that united work, dignity, and hope. The empire of consumption has transformed citizens into customers, and what remains is a void that the market cannot fill. Perhaps the collapse is merely a reflection of what has always been hidden, a nation that confused success with appearance and freedom with debt. And in the end, what will collapse will not only be the system, but the very belief that the system worked. Because the true end doesn't happen when everything falls apart, it happens when everyone stops caring. And perhaps this is the moment when America's collective silence reveals the noise of its own collapse. If this video made you see what many still insist on ignoring, subscribe to the channel now. Here, each new episode exposes what the system tries to hide, the truth that shapes the world we live in.